In order, please. We are in for a very interesting session. The process of reviving traditional games. The process of reviving traditional games, we have come to a very important game, the golden ring, which is how to transform it for modern examples without destroying its spirit. So that is going to be really the content of the next two speakers. And I invite Madam Stephen to me. I did. So I invite her to present a paper. I find that she has set up an opportunity in Kawadi 10 years back for people to come and actually feel the games and play. There cannot be a greater service or greater, stronger way of promoting traditional games than that. And it has been going on for 10 years. And I think Vinita has a very close association with her activities and has always been very appreciative of the great service that Kawadi is doing through Madam Sriranjan. So we sit and listen to her and try to learn something about her experiences.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Mukta, Ramesh and team. I think it's a great joy for me to be here today. First time in so many years, have all of us gamers, come together. When I say gamers, people who are working in the ancient days. It's just beautiful that we want to manage to come together. You brought us onto one game table today, yesterday and today, and the experience has been fabulous. Thank you so much. And you've been great hosts. It's like those old times when wherever you go, you people are like our parents and grandparents taking care of us in a new city. Thank you. So many years back, we had planned a trip to Shimoga. This is in Karnataka. There's a beautiful falls called Jogi Falls there. And we were a bunch of cousins, friends, and a few kids in between. As luck would have it, our vehicle one of the two vehicles had a breakdown. It was a Tata Sumo. And we had to wait for a replacement vehicle to be sent. And I don't think I had a mobile phone. I don't remember how we were contacting the travel agent. But he had said, you've got to wait there where you are, and we're going to send across a vehicle for you. So we're waiting there. And what do we do while we're waiting? Thankfully, it was a beautiful, very beautiful space that our vehicle had a breakdown. And we just chose to walk down that road, a few of us. And as I was walking down the road, I just stopped at one house. There was a lovely tamarind tree right in front. I don't know if it was a tamarind tree or the house that was set deep into the compound. I don't know what it was. I can't even get back to that spot today, but it has stayed in my memory. I was just staring at the house. It is really rude to be doing that, right? As I was doing it, somebody opened the door and my urban etiquette immediately said, I have to look other way around. I shouldn't be watching this house. Because that's the fear we have. We're not trusting. In the cities, we're not so trusting of people who are there in front of our houses. So I kind of looked away a little bit. It was a little cheating that we did. But the lady opened the door and she said, it's a Kannada speaking place, she said, Yenamma, yen maadta idira? And I said, sorry, for the people who don't understand Kannada. So she just asked, so what are you doing? And I said, no, I'm just standing here, we're waiting, our vehicle had a breakdown, and I'm just taking a walk here. She said, why don't you come inside? I said, no, we're a big group of people, I don't think we can come inside your house. She said, don't worry, I have a big juggly here, just come here and sit. And that was a great invitation. You're scared that somebody is going to shout at you for watching your house, while she's inviting us in, and there's a beautiful juggling in front of her house where we all kind of settle down. And coincidentally, there was this lovely Pallakuli also, Aduguli Mane that we call it, that was placed in one of the corners. And tamarind seeds in huge quantity because of course it's from her garden. And there was no need to ask or tell. Few of us got around to playing the games and she offered us coffee too. While we were sitting, our vehicle has a breakdown. We enter her house, she invites her into her house. We are talking, we are playing, sipping coffee, and by the time our vehicle comes, almost few of us are not even ready to step out of that house there. It was so beautiful. It feels surreal to think that this is actually existed in some parts of our world today. And that in terms is kind of what I would wish for that our society turns into. We want to be more trusting. We want to be able to connect with people a lot more. Have that laughter for laughter's sake. Not really because I'm going to get something out of it. So that's where I think maybe, without my knowledge, thoughts of what I may want to do for the society kind of started creeping in. And then it came into what I'm going to present soon. Today, the children I feel today we are all kind of so stuck in a time rush that we don't really get the time to slow down and interact with each other. What I would like to say is game is one of the ways in which we can all come together, slow down, and even for children or families, in general we are not able to get down to that emotional connect in our lives, and let's use our games to get that connect back into our world, into our lives. And let's not slice up generations as in above 80 does something, 60 to 70 does something, 10 to 20 does something else. These games give us that opportunity to kind of come together and do something interesting, entertain ourselves and learn from each other. And that's where we come in, and that's where my work has been I set up Kavade to revive these games on several different levels. The whole and soul of what I've set up is to get people back to loving our ancient games. So there's a store, like Sir said, I have a space called the attic, taking from the word atta, which means the terrace where, the loft where we used to store all our old stuff, which is where people can come engage with games. And the reason I do that is that I feel these games are magical. And Vinita, Raghu, RGC, all of us here will agree that we take pride in doing what we're doing. There is that true intent, we have a passion to, and we believe in the power of it, which is making us go strongly ahead in what we're continuing to do. So, more and more, all of us kind of keep getting this question as to why go regressive, why are you going ancient? Don't you have so much that has come into this world that you want to go fetch something from your past and bring it to us? And that keeps me thinking, I keep going back and forth on it. But there are a lot of things that come to me. One of the prime things is nostalgia. Right? We have such beautiful stories that come out when we have people sitting and playing these games. Games from their childhood, games of laughter, games of fight, that completely, like Vinita was telling us yesterday, it completely takes away sorrows or pains of today's life. And if children are not getting that exposure, then what are the kind of lasting memories we're going to give them, right? I don't know, at this point of time, children are playing games like PUBG and Candy Crush, like Riddhi was telling in a previous session. I don't know if they have such lasting impressions, if they have the capacity to make such lasting impressions. Because we are in a world where everything is coming to us at a fleeting rate. Everything is being bombarded, and I don't think we have the capacity to take it deep down, hold it and bring it back to our lives much later. Which is where I feel these games have a great way of bringing us into that lovely zone. And of course, simplicity of the play equipment plays a great role in our traditional games. You can just create your play from wherever you are, right? And I keep telling, and due respect to all of us who are making game boards and products, I feel if we are all going to be successful in our intent, our stores, our setup is going to be redundant in the next 10, 15 years. Because by then people have learned how to create these games on their own and they love to play for the joy of playing. And we've heard, so I'm not going to go too deep into this because we've heard a lot about how each of these games give us insight into culture and historical elements of our lives earlier, as well as the flora, fauna, the ecosystem. It gives us insight into what kind of animals and what kind of culture, what kind of livelihoods people had. Based on the game names could be, based on the kind of gameplay, based on the materials that we use, it gives us those insights. So I feel it is very important for us to get grounded in such elements and learn to hold on to them. And who doesn't enjoy playing games, right? Who doesn't enjoy? I have to say, yesterday when we were playing Ganji Pakaj, we were learning from Ramesh here. I have spoken to Raghu for several years now, and I think we just chilled over the game of Ganji Pakaj. We kind of really broke ice and we saw different zones of each other while we were playing a game, and that is joy. Sharing those inhibitions, coming together on a table of playing games, and it's beautiful, and that makes me keep going on with the ancient games. And this is something I'd really like to stress on, is that it really reduces the gap between generations. The interaction between young and old becomes so easy over a game like Ollamuri or maybe Five Stones or Kaimei Kashi, which is a game with Kabaddi, that you don't want to lose that. Today we're all going solitary, nuclear. If we could come together on this, we're going to create magic together. Also, I feel that these games are very inclusive. We've seen that, I know the topic for our conference is medieval Indian and board games of India. But I feel I keep looking at these games and seeing those similarities across cultures in the world outside, be it Africa, Sri Lanka, China, Europe, I feel that these games are a leveling ground. They just bring us together, because somebody from Mr. Kurush was talking about how this game Nine Men's Models was brought from Europe to him, and then this spark lit up. The fact that somewhere at the other continent and the other part of the world somebody's playing the same game as we are is a blessed feeling. And I think it gives us the stability we need in this fast-changing world and the grounding we need to have again in this kind of fast-paced world. So when you look at different game names, they might seem very, very different, but the gameplay is similar. When you see varying play equipments, it again feels, oh, maybe it's a different game, I don't know. But the soul of the game, the purpose of the game becomes the same. Similarly, there are varying beliefs that we have seen with each of these games. While they all boil down to humanity, human emotions that we have to observe, reflect, and respect each other for that. So I just put a couple of games where I saw these kind of, just a few of them, Ninja, Shisi, and Amrit Fish, where they seem very similar. They look very different when you see the games being played. But at the end, what each of them is trying to do is either collect or let go of all the pieces that they have. Essence would be the same. And Kabaddi, this was a game that somebody who's an ardent fan of Kabaddi came and gifted to me. And at the same time, I was working on the game Sonai Kattam. And it felt so similar. And the rules of both are kind of not very clear, it is muddled up. So I have taken the liberty of blending the two rules and bringing out the game Sonai Kattam. So now I will quickly, so there won't be too much of how and what and research and the games that we've seen across temples. But what have I been doing as from Kabaddi to bring these games back into our lives today? We have a physical store in the heart of the city, as well as I have a good website from which people can buy our games from. We have brought out, every time the lookout is to bring more and more of these lost ancient games into the store so that people can buy it and play the games. So we need to bridge that gap of people not having the knowledge of these games. Till then we kind of produce the games and then slowly it becomes their own, the way of life for them. So we were talking about Ganjifa yesterday. This is the Navagunjar version that I was trying to learn from this Gangadhar team. And I do try to work, not as much as Ramsons does, but there is definitely the element that we don't want the games to be plastic. It has to be eco-friendly as a concern. We need to be there. So I do work with a lot of self-help groups across the country, trying to either bring in the craft element in the packaging or the game board itself or the playing pieces, but not completely that, because I feel the costs become prohibitive. So there is that bit of balancing that we are constantly trying to do. And this is our lovely space which I welcome all of you today. It's an open invite to come over. It's a beautiful terrace where you can come, sit, play loads and loads of games, bring your own games if you want. And when we have gone on to cross-cultural meets, where one of this event was a place where we introduced our games to people who come from 43 different countries. And the Korean game Yunori seemed so similar to our Chaukabara that it's a game that people can quickly connect with. And I brought it out onto the pillar stuff which have become game tables at the attic. And it's quite a fun way to play Chaukabara too. And this is a few glimpses of how people have been engaging in our space. Young, old, new, and old games, all of it come together here. So we have Monopoly, Scrabble, Cluedo, along with Chaukabara, Pagde, Yunori, Kuli Kuriata, Palanguri, all of it in our space. So feel free to come and play however you want. Is how we've designed our space. And because it's a community coming together, we have had certain workshop story sessions which kind of bring in, line up with my principle of how we want to be evolved together as a community. So it's a place where people come and put up performances, films, meaning something. It's again always the thought behind it always is that it's not exclusively for a child or for an adult. Because be it gaming or any kind of entertainment, I feel every individual has a right, has a need to be a part of it. And playing, I know a lot of adults, like research you showed, they kind of get inhibited, or I don't know what else it is, but they don't want to really play the games. But that bit of nudge for everyone is needed. But once you give that little push, there is no taking away from it. And I've experienced this a lot of times in all the workshops that we've conducted in Bangalore and outside. Yeah, so we take the games apart from having a store and having a place for people to come and play the games. We take the games to a lot of educational institutions, and it has been wonderful. Children as young, up to the age of 12, 13, I feel it's very easy to kind of get into their zones, introduce these games, and they feel happy, they get really involved. The challenge for me has been the teens. We've not really broken into the teen lot where we introduce and they happily participate in it. We always have few teenagers sitting in the corner not wanting to be a part of our gaming experience. But interesting experiment that I put out here is with a bunch of college students from Srishti College of Design. This is in Bangalore. And those children had one day of digital games. So they played on their computer, video games, and iPads the previous day. And the next day they came over to the attic to play some of our games. And this is what they jointly put out together as how they felt after they played the games. There was one observer always present when they were playing the game. So he was the one who jotted down the points. So these are kind of reiterate what we believe when they said they were more excited than the previous day. The previous day when they were playing against the system, it wasn't so interactive and they didn't feel like playing the game more than once or twice is what they said. While they were at my place, they were playing Pagde for 2 hours. And they were evolving, the game rules were evolving, it was not the same. They kept changing, but there was immense laughter. Our terrace was boisterous, it was loud. I was worried where the neighbors would come and say, hey, can you put it down? But I was ready with an answer because we were not using the mic then, which is okay. Yeah. So at public spaces, we've taken the games. It's been another beautiful experience. I don't know how it is here in Bombay, but in Bangalore, I think Bangalore is going through a lot of turbulence. So we have found the need to get the communities together for different reasons. And one successful activity has been the cycle days that we've had across different areas in the city. So these are Sundays when certain areas, certain routes are kind of completely closed for vehicles. When I say vehicles, even public transport is not allowed there. And the children, adults, elderly, they all come out on their cycles. If not cycling, they're at least walking there. For those 5 hours, it is cycling, and the streets are filled with games like hopscotch, lagori, and there I pulled out all my large-sized game boards that I've made, and we put it out onto the street. Initial 1 or 2 rounds is when you need to trigger the, tell them how to play and what to do. But thereafter, it's just like an exponential effect. It just keeps exploding, and they teach one another, and new stuff, new emotions keep coming out. And conferences, of course, performances spaces. And another beautiful festival that happens in Bangalore is temple celebration. This has been happening for the last 9 years. There's a bunch of 3 interesting ladies who've come up with the temple festival where art and music happens in the temple, which is how it used to be. And I wrote to them when they started the festival. I said, I'm going to bring the games over. And Viji, one of the ladies said, really? Are you going to bring games to the temple? I said, yeah, I think it's beautiful to be sitting and playing the games. And so every location that the festival goes, half an hour to 45 minutes, people are sitting and playing the games before the serious music and dance begins. And corporates is a great way to, really spread awareness about the games. And Sir, I know, has spoken a lot about how the corporates have been responding. That's where the nostalgia is very high. They say, I know, I've seen this game, but I can't remember how to play. Come, here's where I come into play. Come and we'll teach you how to play these games. And it has never been, we have never kind of felt bad about having introducing these games or having taken these games to the corporates. It starts with trickling in, again 4 or 5 people come, should I play, should I say, should I not say? All of that happens, and then after that it's just chaos that is let loose. So the next level that we have taken to bring these games, so we have products, we have taken these games, given those experiences. But I've also felt like when you keep looking at temples and historic buildings, there is that permanence of having the game etched onto the floors, right? That kind of leaves you a lot more to sit and play a game. So that got me thinking, and the children from a particular school who used to keep coming to our space for playing and learning these games, I suggested that I could create this gaming space for them at their school itself. And that was the beginning, and I started designing these game installations. So we have these game installations designed in such a way that because it is made out of stone, so you can see all the children playing the games. In this particular setup, I have Chaukabara, Navakankri, Palanguri, and Tiger and Goat. I didn't really feel like putting too many pictures, so I'm just telling you how we've designed this. But these are completely weatherproof. Completely weatherproof, and nothing's going to happen to them. And I've seen the kids just rushing to that spot, which is right next to the football ground. And children who have football go play football, while some others are just in there playing. And the pieces, I have also given pieces. It was one of those initial experiments, so we kind of made pieces and gave it. So the school staff gives them the pieces when they have to sit and play these games. And that has been quite a beautiful way. I feel children being the health indicator of our cities. Definitely, we need to push it on and on and on into their worlds, I feel. It is a challenge, but we are nevertheless not giving up. In resorts also, we have done different kinds of installations based on their requirement. So the games are either permanently fitted or if it has to be brought in and out, that is what we offer and put it in their places. This was another very interesting project which kind of took off beautifully. It's a public space right under a flyover, and we have these under the flyover areas being wasted. It becomes a garbage dump, and we thought it'd be nice to get the people together without having to pay for anything. And that's the seating area which was created. And we, so there's a little snakes and ladder down there, Palanguri, we have Chaukabara and a few other games around in that area. There are mixed feelings about what we did with this project, because what happened the 3rd or 4th day is the residents nearby started complaining. They said, you've installed these games and now it's created this problem. I said, so what is the problem that has happened? Children, there's a school nearby, which is why we thought it would be a great idea to set it up. But then there were a lot of drunkards who were sitting around the Chaukabara table and gambling away, and through the night they kind of, screaming and they kind of using the space, misusing the space in that sense. So that is a challenge we have not yet figured out how to. And although we have the security nearby, if we could take up that role and ensure that nobody walks in. But the whole concept is defeated if we have to put somebody there to watch over that space. So that's one of the things. And this was another very beautiful. So these are installations that have happened across different places and in an apartment space. Now, if you're walking around a lot of, I don't know where I heard this, but I heard a government note that said, you have to pull out your chair, sit where your neighbors are walking and say hello to them, talk to them, so you know them better. And then there is no fear of that person there is foreigner and you don't know them, you don't know what they're going to do. Don't allow that to happen, so you be there and watch over the road. Now, if you had a space where they could just come, know each other. I know children have slides and merry-go-rounds, but what do we as adults have? We are not going to go down there and do some gossip. A lot of us don't want to sit and do gossip around about things that we don't care about. But if there were places like this within the residential areas, then it again becomes a great bonding space. And here the design intervention that I made was very clearly, I didn't want to repeat the bit of how we had to provide the playing pieces. So I designed a little stone spinner based on the probability for Chaukabara, Pagade, the Dayakatam. And for the others, clearly I've mentioned the instructions. And the intention is also to keep having an activity so that they realize that they can pick up elements from their ecosystem, be it stones and seeds. There are enough gulmohar trees, enough tamarind trees, enough mahogany trees in that apartment area. Pick those up and play these games is what we've said. And we've already seen these spaces coming alive, and so it's a huge success having these games out there. So one of the projects, few of the things that I've been working on is, I'm calling it a museum for lack of any other word, but this is, the reason I hesitate to use the word museum is that I don't have collective pieces. I'm a very small person. I'm an individual running this whole setup, but I want to give narratives and show pieces which reflect the kind of game boards that were there during those times. And this one is not really specific to India, but definitely leads down to India and its games. Smart cities are happening, and we've been approached, we've given proposals to 2 places to install these games in the parks. But it is always difficult to go through the bureaucracies, and then I have to deal with different levels of the workers. Everybody has their bit to put in, and that's always been the struggle. I'm like, I want to do this very happily and not get stressed over it. And I'm very slow at it. GameStruck has been an idea that has been sitting with me for the last 3 years, but I haven't done it because of the lack of funds. Because owning a truck runs to several lakhs, and then having somebody to run it everywhere, the maintenance has been very, it has not really taken off. But the recent spark was that somebody said, hey, don't own this white elephant, have one truck that I can hand over to you. And the idea of this GameStruck was to mix traditional foods with our traditional games. So let's hope by next year we have the GameStruck rolling all over the state and the country. So we've been listed as an activity destination because it's a place that people can come and learn some of these traditional games. We've been listed on some of these sites. And so in a nutshell, if I were to say, Kavada and Attic is definitely an intervention in our public spaces for both children, adults, and all of us in between. It's an alternative to gadget-centered entertainment. And the products, if we look at it, they are really return gifts. When people come to me and say, can you give us 30 return gifts? My immediate instinct is to say, hey, don't waste money on return gifts. But then if you have to give, then we have a space where you can pick up meaningful and unique gifts is what I'd say now. Our emphasis, like I told earlier, is on eco-friendly games and toys and meaningful engagement with the community, and I call it a very calm and peaceful hangout. The vibes are beautiful in the space. A quick look at how we have evolved from 2009, what our store was in between. Our gaming was happening within the store, and then I got a slightly bigger space where we set up. It was very, very basic when I felt I had the need to create an ambience so that people can. That's how our store looks today. I've brought in books as well, but nothing else that comes between us and the games. And then the play area was given a little more ambience where people love to see this open-ended play space. There isn't a very structured way of engaging with this space, but that's how I love, in principle, an entertainment space to be. So what keeps us going is what I'd like you to see here. So, sorry, there's a little, I can't take out that. But the family on this side walked into the store one day and they were very keenly interested in looking at all the games. And I was taking through the games that we have in the store, explaining it to them, because that's the only way I feel we can really get people to appreciate the games. While another set of youngsters walked in at the same time, and Uma, who's in my store, she was taking them through the games. And at some point, both of us came together on a game called Morabara, which is like Navakanki, an African version of Navakanki. And we just taught both of them, and then magic happened. They just didn't need, they just forgot the presence of the store or me or Uma there. They just got around talking to each other. They engaged with each other while they were playing the game. And although the game went on for 10 minutes, the conversation between them went on for much longer. And then we also got in, and while they were leaving, Uncle told us that he visited the store because it was his 60th birthday and he wanted to celebrate his birthday by visiting our store. So these are moments that really keep us going, you know. And this particular video of your grandmother, you said, is 101. This lady's mother had called me 2-3 days, and she kept calling me to say, hey, Sriranjani, what time is your store open? And I kept telling her, giving her directions. And so I'm not a big team, it's just me and Uma with us. And I kept giving her directions, and then one day I believe she came and picked up Palanpuri and Pagde from our store. And then that evening, late evening, almost close to 10 o'clock, I get a call from her. I'm very hesitant, so I don't take unknown numbers, customer calls beyond 8:30. And hesitantly, I took the call, wondering if there's something wrong with the game or what could have happened. And she said, Sriranjani, thank you so much for setting up this store. I came to your house, I came to your store because I wanted to pick up these games, and I bought these games for my mother who has Alzheimer's, and I'm her companion, constant companion, and she's in her early 90s. And you know, I brought this game from your store at 5, handed it over to her at 6, and from 6 to 9 she hasn't got off the Palanpuri, is what she said. And those are the moments that we kind of live for and make us feel very beautiful about what we are doing. I'm done. So if you want to look at the challenges we face, these are what I think, I don't know how it is, if it's the common thing for all of us, but these are all the challenges that I see. Indoors are becoming more and more beautiful, that children and adults refuse to leave their places and come onto the play areas. And there's a constant need for change. We have to give them new things to play with, new varieties. But at the same time, I find it a big challenge to introduce unfamiliar ancient games. Like the Bhadraghatam that we've introduced, it's become very difficult to actually, in the last 3 years, I think I've made 30 game boards till now. That's all that we've made, and it is a challenge to introduce unfamiliar ancient games. And if we need to reach larger community, I feel the need for motivated staff, and all of us, if we could come together and support each other, I think it would be the easiest way to take this forward to the next level. So I would like to close my talk with leaving you with these thoughts. I don't think I want to talk about it, but just let it be there. Thank you so much.
Now, we had two beautiful presentations.